I'm always on the hunt for a 5-star read. And something's telling me that one of these 3 new romance releases is going to be one for me. Over the next 24 hours, I'm going to hop in my AirPods, I'm going to grab my Kindle, and I'm going to finally pick up some of these new releases that I am super, super excited about, one of which actually just came out today. There's just something so special about a new release, getting hyped for it, watching it show up on your doorstep or show up on your Kindle, getting to read it immediately when it comes out, be the first one, have a thought, opinion, review for that book. Really just nothing like it. As someone who likes to stay in the loop. And if you are also someone who likes to stay in the loop and you want to read beautiful, curated, excellent new release fiction, you can also find it with the sponsor of today's video, Book of the Month. I have been a Book of the Month girl for over 5 years now, and they really do help keep me in the loop about fiction. Now, obviously, I'm very up to date on all of the new romance releases as evidenced by this video, but I am not someone who knows about all of the different releases in different genres, and I would bet that you probably aren't either. I love that Book of the Month has a team in-house who curates and combs through a ton of different new release fiction, picks the very best for us in different genres so that we can be informed and know what is new, what is hot, and honestly, like, what is good. They place a really big emphasis on new and emerging authors as well, which I feel like I especially miss out on new authors, and I love that Book of the Month, again, really focuses on authors that we might not have heard of before. Plus, they offer the best prices on new release hardcover fiction, as well as free shipping and a loyalty rewards program. So this month, I selected 2 books in my preferred genres. I have Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O. Clover. I pretty much always pick up a romance or a romance-related book from Book of the Month, and then I like to hop outside of my comfort zone and get something different. So this month I picked up Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, which is a horror novel. The Heartbreak Hotel has such a cute premise and I feel like would be the perfect fall read. Our main character is dumped by her fiance and can no longer afford to live in this gorgeous home by herself. So she asks her landlord if it would be possible to use some of the bedrooms in this gorgeous home and turn it into a bed and breakfast so she can afford the rent. Surprisingly, he ends up saying yes, and even more surprisingly, he ends up being a very handsome vet who lives in town. So she ends up falling for him, I'm assuming, but I'll find out sometime later this fall. And then Play Nice is a haunted house story. We have our main character whose mom has recently passed away, and now she has to kind of like clean out the house, figure out what she's doing with it with her sisters. They don't really remember the house being possessed by a demon like their mother claims that it was, but now they're starting to maybe see some truth in what their mom was saying. This one would also be so juicy for fall. Both of these I'm like dying to read. And now is the perfect time to sign up for Book of the Month, because if you use code JACKET, you can get your first book for just $5 and free hat of your choosing, like this perfect one that says well read. Again, that's code JACKET to get your first book for just $5 plus a hat of your choosing. Thanks again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Now let me tell you what new releases we're reading in this video. First up, we have Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. Now, I didn't know if I was going to pick up this book, but it seems like everybody keeps talking about it. I won't lie, I'm 50% in and kind of loving it so far. This book is like Chicken Shop Date if the chicken was actually hot dogs and our host was not British. Our heroine is someone who interviews celebrities, and one day she ends up seeing a viral kind of like TikTok clip, guy that she used to date in college, and this guy was the worst. She had a huge crush on him, really was into him, but he was that typical frat guy who like couldn't please a woman and just wasn't really the kind of guy I end up with long term. But he now has like a dating and relationship type podcast, or like an anti-toxic masculinity podcast. Our heroine is just not buying it. She sees this clip and she's like, that's just not true. Like, I know who you are and you're not this guy. Stitches the TikTok, kind of sets the record straight about who this guy is and goes viral for it. So now she and this guy are going to go on a series of dates and use it as sort of like a marketing opportunity for their different ventures, for his podcast and also for her and her like interview show slash, what does she have, like a Substack where she like writes articles that are like more substantive, I guess, than the interview she does. Anyway, I was compelled by the reviews that I was seeing, and I have had some success with this author, even if I haven't had like a 5-star from her. So I was like, you know what, let's give it a try. And again, 50% in and I'm kind of enjoying it. Can I be honest? I'll talk to you about it a little bit more later, but this is one that I'm hyped for. Another book that I am very hyped for is the one that came out today, and it's My Favorite Lost Cause by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This is the follow-up to a book that came out earlier this summer that I absolutely adored. That one, we had our heroine climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with her sister's ex-boyfriend, and now we are getting the heroine of the last book's sister falling for her stepbrother. So that should be really juicy. They're like fixing up a house together. I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting. And then lastly, we are going to be picking up If Not For My Baby, one I am tentatively curious and excited about, but also a little bit like, I'm not sure about the ethicality of. This one I think is supposed to be Hosier fanfiction, which I have mixed feelings about. I don't think that we should be writing books about real people or based on real people, but also I think that sometimes the fanfiction of it all can be sort of like overclaimed, if that makes sense. I recently read a book that was supposed to be fanfiction and was not actually fanfiction when I read it. It had been just like marketed incorrectly. This one, I feel like it does have ties to the idea of Hosier, but like how Hosier-y is this going to be? I don't know. I'm hopeful that this could maybe be a 5-star read. We'll see. We'll see. It's about an Irish singer and his backup singer and their romance, and we'll see how that goes. But those are the 3 books that I'm going to be reading over the next like 24 hours. It is about 3 o'clock here, and I'm planning on taking this until about 3 o'clock tomorrow, or whenever it is that I finish that 3rd book. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I will tell you my thoughts on, well, actually, which I started very recently. My friends, if you can hear any ambient noise, that would be my husband downstairs making us breakfast burritos for dinner. I also have Pepper in here, and he's being super cute. Love that. Honestly, what a great day. So 50% into Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. I like it, I hate it, all at the same time. Here's the thing. Love the way that Maisie Eddings writes the chemistry between hero and heroine in this book. I don't think that I've ever felt as into character relationships in her books as I am right now. Got our hero who has a really boring basic name, Riley Cooper. And then we also have our heroine, I want to say her name's like Eva or something like that. Eva, but I think it's Eva or like Evie or something. Anyway, going on a series of fake dates. I already kind of set y'all up, like talk to you about what this book is about in the intro, but basically, we've got a heroine who is going on a series of dates with this guy to sort of, I want to say like make their reputations better, but to get them more publicity for their pursuits, right? His podcast and her show / writing and musings on Substack. It's not called Substack, but you know, I think it's supposed to be Substack. Gone on a couple of dates. The first one was a total fucking disaster where our heroine was like getting into like comedy of errors sort of situations, like physical comedy situations, like getting kind of hurt, being scared of heights, like a bunch of crazy shit happens. They end up meeting kind of organically whenever she's out with friends at one point, and they kind of have some cheeky banter back and forth. And then on this date that they went on, it is actually a, what's the word I'm looking for? Group therapy, not even group therapy, couples therapy, even though they're not like truly a couple. But it's nice because these two get to actually like work through their relationship from back when they were dating in college, and we get to kind of unfold, I don't want to say the secrets of our hero, but the reasons that he was the way he was back in college and like why he's different now. Heroine also is kind of vulnerable, which I was not expecting, about the fact that really hurt her whenever he didn't show as much interest as she did and didn't seem as interested in like being in a, you know, long-term relationship. She also, I don't know how much she like truly touches on this, but we know her family didn't ever really give her the attention and the love and affection she deserved, so she definitely pulls away in ways that are not necessarily healthy. She gets to kind of share some of that, and I guess our hero's starting to understand like why she is closed off. I like this book because I like the chemistry. I like our heroine and how she doesn't let guys take advantage of her. She always stands on business. I think what's frustrating is our heroine's background and like the things that have happened to her. I'm not saying she's unjustified in the way that she treats our hero and the way that she has her walls up, but it can be really frustrating when our hero has been basically nothing but kind to her and tried his absolute hardest since college. Like even without the explanation as to why he was the way he was back then. I think that actions speak louder than words, and all of his actions, you know, making this viral kind of mean-spirited TikTok, ever since then, like, he has just been nothing but nice to her. And like, yeah, he like has banter and they've got funny moments, but like, he is kind to her. He goes out of his way to try to please her. Even when he messes up, he apologizes. Like, he's very open with her. I think it can be frustrating when something nice and kind happens and then she pulls back in a way that I find not just bitchy, but also like kind of mean, kind of cruel. So I'm torn on this book. Like I like it on the one hand. I love, again, the chemistry, the physical chemistry, the banter. I love the writing. I just like the story. It's like very engaging, entertaining, but it is a romance and I am critical of how two people are coming together. And is this something that I think is set up for long-term success? And I think our heroine really could just use some therapy of her own. Our hero goes to therapy very, very often, especially because of the things that happened to him back, you know, in college around the time he was dating our heroine. Going to therapy ever since and like is locked the fuck in on that. Heroine doesn't seem to want to address some of her trauma. And she even says like in the, you know, joint therapy session, something to the effect of like, can I just get over it? Like I shouldn't, you know, be the way that I am. I shouldn't have these feelings. And the therapist is like, that's not true. Like, sure, we can learn and grow, but like, it's okay to have feelings. And our heroine doesn't feel like she's there yet. It seems like she has a lot of work to do emotionally. I think if the book continues the way that it is, but like maybe they separate for a little bit, like there's sort of a breakup sort of situation, even though they're not truly dating, and our heroine like goes to therapy for months and months and then they get together, I think I would be happy. But I just don't, I don't know. I just think our hero like kind of deserves better, because like our heroine's kind of, I don't even want to say a bitch, right? Like she's not a bad person. She's not truly mean-spirited. I think that like she just has some shit she needs to work on, you know? I am excited to see where she ends up. I'm going to finish this book and then we can move on to the Elizabeth work. I'm so excited. There's just something about a new release. And obviously I read a lot of new releases, but like a new release that you're genuinely so hyped about, there's just something about that and getting to like tuck in. I also love starting a book at night. That's actually like my favorite time of day to start reading books. And you're probably like, yeah, that's when a lot of us do. Sun's not out and I'm like curled up in my bed and my blankies. I think I'm gonna like set the mood and set the atmosphere tonight too, with like a nice candle, maybe a couple of bites of Cheesecake Factory for lunch today. I had like a little lunch date with a friend, and tucking into a little bit of Oreo cheesecake also sounds nice. I'll check in with y'all in a little bit. Maybe I'll show you my breakfast burrito. Actually, I don't know that it's gonna be a burrito, and it's actually probably not gonna be pretty because we don't have the right tortillas, but I will link the recipe if I can. I think I can. It is scrambled eggs, bacon, pesto, and potatoes. But it's simple, it's good. Oh, there's cheddar, of course, too. Let me just move my granola bar wrapper out of the way, my friends. Hello, I have finished a book. I've gotten 20% into another book. We can chat about said books. We can also admire a Pepper Ann. Yeah, we can. Sure can. Not a 5-star read. Not a 5-star read. Well, actually, not a 5-star read. Was it entertaining enough? Sure. Did I get pissed off? Yeah, I did. Here's the thing. Strong people go through hard times. Strong people can feel really vulnerable and sad and weak on the inside. Ask me how I know. However, I don't know that I loved the way that was executed in this book. Our heroine just continues to be an incredibly frustrating character and incredibly hard to root for. I do like the hero's reaction to her trying to like break up with him. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but she does attempt to break up with him and he's like, well, that part, what he says in response, but she's kind of a dumbass. And I think what irks me, and I've been seeing this a lot lately in books, is people being fucked over by their employer. That does happen. I am not going to say that does not happen. What I do get frustrated by, though, is we have someone who is super strong-willed and yet never stands up for themselves. Like, I want to see that triumphant moment. I want to see that moment of character growth. Like, you're setting us up to believe that this person is really, really strong, right? That they are a take no shit kind of person. We learn pretty early on that that's not the case, that their career is something that has them nervous and that they are kind of insecure about and they have a hard time standing up to people. Let's develop that throughout the story. And then by the end of the book, when we have a showdown, this person should be standing up to that person, you know? Or, you know, maybe they don't stand up to that person, but they have a triumphant moment right after and like get their dream job or something. That doesn't really happen in this book. Our heroine just kind of lets people walk all over her, and it felt very weird. It's like we're being told one thing and shown another thing. And again, I understand people can have hidden depths, whatever, but that's not how it felt here. It felt like we are being told one thing, shown something entirely different. And that was really annoying to me. Now, on a romance level, I did like elements of the story. I did like the hero a lot. I really, really liked the hero. It was frustrating to me, but I do like how our hero brought out the vulnerability on our heroine and made her feel safe in being vulnerable. I did appreciate that. This was not a shallow romance in that sense. It wasn't just like these two people banging it out and like nothing else, you know, going on. But I wanted, I don't know, just a little bit more, I guess, as well. Like, I wanted to see her be there for him as well. Not a 5-star read. Not a 5-star read. But I did like this more than I've liked any other book by this author before. So consider that a win. I'm going to give it like 3 stars, maybe 4. 3 stars. Okay, 20% into my favorite Lost Cause. Also, sorry if I am talking weird. I feel like I'm talking weird. My mouth is feeling weird. I went to the dentist yesterday and I have one of those permanent retainers on my bottom teeth. And when they really just like kind of dig in there, I feel like my jaw hurts for a day or two and I feel like I just talk weird. Anyway, I don't think anyone cared or noticed, but I just had to put that out there. This book is about our 2 main characters, Marin and Charlie. They are step siblings. So in the last book, our heroine is gonna climb Mount Kilimanjaro with Marin's ex-boyfriend. They dated like in their early 20s, I believe, maybe even younger than that. They broke up and Marin was really heartbroken and has been kind of pining for that guy for a while in sort of a I wish my life were different sort of way. Not like this is the one man for me kind of way. So her little sister ends up with that man and going to be married to that man. Marin is like initially upset because again, she's been like pining and yearning for this person, but at the same time she's like, but I didn't actually like love him, if that makes any fucking sense. Anyway, she is married to a man who is really awful and belittles her and treats her like shit. His name is Harvey. At the beginning of this book, find out that Charlie, Marin's stepbrother, his mom passed away recently. and he has not been dealing with this well. She passed away and didn't really tell anybody. He like found out weeks later. She was like cremated and someone else picked up the ashes, and like he just feels very disconnected. He did, however, receive a letter from his mom saying, hey, I'm leaving you the family home, this like ramshackle estate in the Carolinas, Charleston, somewhere beautiful. Erin finds out about this, sees that Charlie has been kind of on a bender, and she like intervenes and she's like, you know what, you can't really do this anymore. And she finds the letter. She sees the letter and she's like, Charlie, we have to go. I hate my life. I hate my husband. I'm starting IVF in a month. Let's get out and go. I think Marin's trying to be like avoidant of her life because she doesn't like this man, but she does want a baby, and yeah, it's a whole thing. Marin and Charlie decide to go down to where the fuck this southern home is, and they are going to attempt to renovate it or get started on the renovations in this week-long period. In this first 20%, I was expecting more. I'm not disliking where we're at. Charlie is definitely in a sort of deal with the devil sort of situation. Like, he is the kind of hero who is like really broken and damaged, and Marin is gonna like help heal him, I guess. But I don't feel a lot of chemistry, I will say, at this point between hero and heroine. I know that Elizabeth O'Rourke really excels in a slow burn, but I feel like the chemistry was really there from the very beginning for me. First book in the series. And maybe I'm just misremembering and was just reading into it too much, and I was like into the whole like forbidden taboo aspect. I don't know. I mean, there's a forbidden taboo aspect to this one, obviously. Like, they're step-siblings. Well, step-siblings, I should say. Like, they became step-siblings in their 20s, so it's not like they've like grown up together or anything. But I like the forced proximity situation. I love the fixing up an old house situation. I'm just not totally sold on their chemistry yet. We've had a couple of throwaway lines from both of them about having an attraction for each other, but it doesn't feel subtle, if that makes sense. It's like said out loud, like, oh, I'm attracted to her, but she can never know, something like that. Instead of him noticing the way she does something with her hair, or she notices the way that his like bicep flexes, or you know what I mean? Like, I want a little more sense of how like we have some feelings that are unexplored here. And maybe I'm just too early on, but that's my initial thoughts and feelings at the 20% mark. So I'm gonna get farther in and I will keep you posted, I suppose. I'm nervous, y'all. I'm very nervous. Like, I think this is our opportunity for a 5-star read, because I don't think the Hosier book is gonna be a 5-star read, but like, honestly, books can surprise me. Yeah, and I'm not any less excited. I mean, I'm nervous. I'm more nervous than I was initially, but I am still excited at the prospect of reading these new releases, so that's good. That's good. Okay, I am very conflicted here because I don't think this is so much a slow burn as a no burn. I wouldn't say that I see no chemistry between hero and heroine, but again, it's more from lines that were told rather than moments that were shown. There have been a couple of moments, like sucks on her finger while they're cooking, or actual moments of I see the sexual tension. So frustrating as a reader. And don't get me wrong, I want to be a little frustrated. Like, I want there to be a little bit of like, oh my god, like when are they gonna finally kiss? But I'm actually 60% of the way into my favorite Lost Cause. I don't know. I need more from this entire experience. Like, Charlie, he is a little emotionally damaged, and he like sleeps with women and drinks to make himself feel better. And yes, part of that is the fact that his mom died and he feels like a failure as a son. There's definitely more there, and I wish we'd explore that a little bit more. And in addition to that, I feel like our heroine is getting away from her shitty husband. I think that's pretty obvious for these two to have a relationship at any point. Like, she has to get divorced, but it didn't feel a truly conscious decision. It was like one truly bad thing happens and she's like, yeah, I'm out, which is good. I mean, I'm glad that she had that, strength to do that, but it doesn't feel like she's really growing. It doesn't feel like either character is really growing. It doesn't feel like they're coming together in a romantic way. I'm really frustrated. Like, I don't hate this, and I'm so like, I want them to get together still, but it's more out of reading this because there's like nothing going on kind of situation, rather than, yeah, these two, like, I need them to get together. And I hate that because I loved the first book in the series. It was 5 stars. It was like one of my best books of the summer. I was really hoping this one would be the same, but that's just like turning out not to be the case. We're not gonna find a 5-star. Oh no. I finished my favorite Lost Cause, and I wish I could say that this was a 5-star read. It just isn't. It's just not that girl. It's not that book, and there's many reasons for that. But I did finish this book a couple of days ago. Oh my god, no, it's not actually a 24-hour reading vlog. I messed up. But I don't want to spoil everything. I'm going to try to hit the big points as to why this didn't work for me, and then we can move on to a book that I'm enjoying. Yeah, I am enjoying the Hosier book, and we'll talk about that in a second. But to tell you why I didn't like this book, I have to spoil it. And I think that I feel comfortable doing that because I think there's some sensitive topics here that I think people are going to want to know about going into this book. I'm going to spoil it, so skip ahead if you don't want to be spoiled for this book. But the infertility plotline wraps up in a way that I was not personally satisfied with. Everybody has their unique life circumstances and situations that make them more or less apt to pick up a book and enjoy it, but I just feel as though if you're going to have infertility as a plotline in a book, it does not mean that that can't be resolved, right? Infertility does not mean sterility. You can still get pregnant if you have infertility. Fingers crossed that that's the case for me. But in this case, our heroine finds out that her husband has been lying to her. He is actually the one who is infertile, and he got their doctor to lie to her about his infertility. So that's pretty terrible. How was that going to work out? Was he going to still be able to provide sperm? I don't know. I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but he was lying to her. And it fits with his character because he's kind of a piece of shit, but I really didn't appreciate that. Heroine, I'm sure you can probably guess, gets quickly pregnant by the hero of the book, and that is kind of what makes these two face their feelings for each other. It was not romantic though. Like, it would be one thing if these two were deeply in love and were already kind of facing their feelings for each other, and then she gets pregnant and he's like, wow, didn't know if I wanted kids before, but being with you, I'm ecstatic. It's an okay outcome for me. What's not okay is sleeping with each other, having this will they, won't they thing, her getting pregnant, him being scared of it, and not necessarily avoiding her, but like not having a great reaction. And it's one thing to not have a great reaction when you find out that someone's pregnant and you didn't want kids before, but like you're gonna have to have your second reaction to that be amazing. And like, I am so excited to raise this kid with you. And I don't feel like that really happened. Sure, in the epilogue, like they've got multiple kids and he loves being a dad and he's a great dad and whatever, but like, I don't like when characters have their choices taken from them. I know that in the real world, sometimes people just get accidentally pregnant. For a lot of people, that does lead to situations like this in which they do end up together, and it can be a really happy thing. I'm not saying that's always bad, but I think that in this particular book, these two did not have enough being together, relationship development, being like shown to us as the perfect couple for this kind of plotline to work out. I want people to be head over heels before they get accidentally pregnant, and maybe that's just wishful thinking, maybe it is, but I found this too realistic and not very romantic, and I didn't like that. And it's so irritating because I love this author and I loved the first book and I found that one romantic and it had that amazing forbidden element, and I thought this is even more forbidden, like it's going to be even better, and it just wasn't better. It wasn't better. Too much telling, not enough showing. Yeah, there were so many missed opportunities here, and I'm really, really bummed about it. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It's still better than a lot of romances I pick up, but disappointing from this author for sure. Let's talk about the Hosier book. If Not For My Baby by, is it Kate Golden? I'm really torn on this one because I don't know if you know this about me. It's something that I keep close to the chest. I love a rock star romance. I love it, especially when the rock star in question is someone who is famous. I think it can be such a fun trope to play with. No, I just find like the idea of touring and everything like so romantic, and just like forced proximity on the tour bus, it just sounds delightful to me. Maybe not in real life, you know, like I don't actually want to be with a rock star, and I'm sure that touring kind of sucks, but in a romance, I love it. A lot of the ones I've read I've really loved. This one, I am enjoying it. So our heroine Clementine, taken her friend's spot as a backing vocalist for Hosier, right? I think in this book he's called like Halloran or something like that. He's Hosier, right? He's an Irish artist in his mid-30s who writes very lyrically about nature and shit, alluding to sex and like other hard-hitting topics. I mean, is sex hard-hitting? You understand what I'm saying. He's a stand-in for Hosier. Clementine, before the tour, she doesn't really know much about this guy, which I liked. I liked the fact that she wasn't a fangirl ahead of time. But between her getting the job and her getting to meet this man, she kind of develops a fangirl sort of situation. So she's a little bit tongue-tied and awkward around him, and I was like, I don't know about all that. I don't like that part of a rock star romance. I don't really like the One Direction of it all, you know what I mean? Like, my mom sold me to One Direction. I don't like there to be like a hero worship theme, sort of like weird power dynamic imbalance. I don't know why that one bothers me more than like a regular age gap, but for some reason, the power imbalance of fandom and or, what is the word I'm looking for? Parasocial relationships, it just, I don't know. I don't feel like that's a good thing to set up a relationship on. Anyway, this is just a classic rock star romance, right? Our hero is kind of enamored with our heroine, even though she's just like your average girl. She is on tour and trying to earn money, by the way, because her mom has, I think, fibromyalgia, and our heroine is trying to get her in this clinical trial that could potentially really help her. She needs money to do that, so she's like earning money on this tour for that reason, even though she doesn't really want to leave her mom behind for this tour. She's kind of bland. Clementine is kind of bland beyond that. Like, again, she's a very like basic average girl girl, which is not a bad thing necessarily. She's not pissing me off, which I can really appreciate. I've had some really irritating heroines lately. Clementine's just your average girl, and this guy is just like really into her. And I mean, hey, Irish narration, the Irish accent narration, I'm not upset at it. Romantic relationship between them that's forming, I think is pretty sweet. Like, they're being honest with each other, they're talking, like the rock star of it all. I think my issue, which I'm sure you could probably guess, why Hosier? Not that I don't think he's sexy, not that I don't think that he is great, just don't think that this book needed that, to be honest with you. I think that you could have made this singer be from literally anywhere. You could have had him no relation or whatever to Hosier, and this story still would have worked and been fun, I think. It is just your basic average romance outside of the Hosierness of it all, but I don't think the Hosierness is like making it better. So I just struggle to understand why we are trying to push fan fictions that are about real people. I think there's a lot of conversation that is going to be had in the next couple of years just around fan fiction getting published, generally speaking. I think my take on it for a while has been, oh, I'm just really excited for authors to be able to publish their work that they've worked so hard on, and especially if you're able to turn it into something that's an original work, I think that's awesome. The more time goes on, the more rumblings I hear from other people and other people's takes on it, I feel like I don't have a well-formed opinion, and I'm sure it's going to evolve a lot over time. That is the most interesting thing I think about being on YouTube for so long, is my opinion on so many different aspects of books and how I read them have changed. I think one of the biggest ones, full own voices sort of discussion. I think when I first joined BookTube and in the first couple of years, so many people were harping on only wanting to pick up own voices stories, and they never wanted to pick up a book if the person who wrote the book, you know, wasn't, if it wasn't an own voices story, right? But that becomes tricky, right? Because then people have to out themselves, essentially, to be able to claim own voices and things like that. So I think that, you know, my take now on own voices is a lot more nuanced. But yeah, I think with the fan fiction discussion, it's challenging when it comes to the idea of intellectual property, comes to the idea of reclaiming fandom when the original author is shitty. There's a lot there. And when it comes to basing things off of real people, I think that's also challenging. It's definitely been done before, whether as explicitly as it is done in this book or not. Like, it's definitely been a thing where there have been star romances modeled after people, or been books modeled after people's appearances really, really heavily. I'm thinking of J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood series, Dark Lover. The main character, Wrath, he is based very explicitly on Peter Steele. So it's like, I don't know, like, what is the line? What is the line there? I'm not sure. But I will say, it's impossible in this book not to think of Hosier. And I think that if you have major objections to people being depicted in works, I think probably isn't going to be for you. I don't know. I'm very conflicted on this one. I think it's a fun rockstar romance. I don't think we needed the Hosier aspect of it, you know? It's just like, why do that? Just avoid that together, you know? But I'm gonna finish this book, and I will report back on my final thoughts and feelings. Maybe I should be more self-conscious about this, like, slick back ponytail, but I just got back from a walk. It was sweaty, and we don't need to see my hair down. I did finish the book, though, and liked it. This is definitely the best book that I read for this video. I think I would rate it 4 stars. That is a 4-star rating without any of the sort of discussion around Hosier, right? I think if I were taking that more into consideration, I think maybe if I were a bigger fan of the guy and really could see all of the ways in which there were, like, crazy parallels, like, maybe I'd rate this lower and be, like, more weirded out. I mean, it is weird. Like let's just call it what it is. It is a little bit weird. As a romance, like, it was good. It was a good rockstar romance. I really liked how our hero was so into our heroine. I liked that there felt like there was a good amount of relationship development. I think a big part of my enjoyment of the story, to be honest, was the audiobook. Oh my god. The Irish accent doing the sex scenes. I was just informed that the guy who does the audio narration with the Irish accent for Halloran or whatever, who does Connor in Problematic Summer Romance, and I didn't listen to that one on audio, but now I'm, like, dying to, because this narrator is talented. And I'm not even, like, okay, I do like accents. I'm not, like, obsessed with all accents or anything, but I mean, he really has talent. He acted his ass off, okay? That was quite the performance. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a cute romance. Yeah, again, I think there needs to be boundaries for sure going forward. I hope that as more fanfiction and fanficky type stories get published, we have more discussions around it so that publishing kind of lines up with how we as a collective are feeling. I feel like that tends to happen, right? Publishing a fan fiction, I'm not saying it's never been done before. It seems to be more popular at the moment, and so I don't think that publishers or readers as a collective have like decided, you know, on how we feel about whether or not we're okay with it. So it's going to keep getting published unless we say, hey, we're not cool with like certain things. So I guess let me know how you feel about the whole Real People fan fiction getting published or fan fiction getting published in general. Like, what are your qualms about it? Because I'd like to become more informed on this, but all I can say right now is like, as a romance, I thought this one was pretty solid. So what a video. Did I find a 5-star read? No. Did I have a fun time? For the most part, yes. Still really disappointed in the Elizabeth O'Rourke book. I really wanted that one to be like the banger, but the Maisie Eddings was a really good time too, and happier I think in retrospect than I was when I actually read it. Like, I'm glad that I had a win from her because I know she's very talented. I just have not connected with her books. So I liked that one, and this one was fun. So take of that what you will. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see y'all in the next one.